Hey people, I was looking at this word merce in the last video. This is the same except with an L in front of it, of merce, his possessions. And you can see they kind of got it close to this word, this erse, as in he inherited. But it's easier to see here, that it means to put it down in, of merce, like of mersion, to submerse. And it means to put it in. And revive them of new, not in hearts of merce. And the new life, the revive them of new, not in hearts of merce. It's not submersed in the hearts. H-A-R-T-S, hearts. They'll say this merce is coming from Old Latin, meaning goods, M-E-R-C. And so of merces would be to sit down in your pile of money and thumb through it like it was water in your bathtub. Surround yourself with your possessions of merces. And so, and the heights of ancient possessions have become is, of moot. They'll say this is and in most of the time. And in moot, as they'll say, it's death most of the time. Unless there's two moody moots, then it's very dead. And of moot and of death, the olam. And they get that ancient from, the O-W-L and the M. And the owl is the letter M in Egypt. That's where these people that wrote this just come from. And they say it means ancient, and they'll give it other meanings. They say it has a diverse set of meanings, including world, existence, lifetime, and eternity. As is often the case with the Hebrew etymology of the word, suggests the link between its senses. Olam comes from alam, a verb meaning to hide or conceal. And so what they're saying is this is all the hocus pocus meanings that they forced on it to force a meaning over these writings. But the word looks like it comes from a word meaning to hide or conceal. And that fits much better with, of moot, of quiet, of conceal, of the merce, to put it in, they tell of new, of the riches, of the purse, of the riches they tell of new, to quiet, of kill, to conceal, of merce, they tell of new. And of moot, the owl. And this is reading, when you're reading the top marks, there's two O's and then a U-L-I-M. The owl, the hoolam. And the owl is the quietest bird. He's moot. You don't hear an owl coming. And so, of moot, of quiet, and the first O is the of, and then it's the O-W-L, the owl, and the owl. Of moot, of owl, himmel, merce. Himmel, merce. He comes down silently. They tell of new, to quiet the tell that he's coming. L, and then the dots is read the A-V underneath of new. Of silence, of the owl, himmel, merce. When immersion, they tell of new. Their tell of new, their tell that they're coming is moot. They're not telling. And so this has a lot more meaning other than face value, because the owl's been on money for at least 3,000 years now. And it's still there today. If you look real hard, you'll find it. Of the ancient possessions, your monies, of the owl. And that's the enemy of you. When your stock market's crashing, coming down silent, of merce. And Hammer adding you yay on. The co-writer, last movie I showed you, this is the guy who added all the marks and changed the sound of the words and meanings. And the co-writer adding, and then you and yay, and let there be, Y-E-Y, yay, and let there be, and you yay on, and you voted in, in the co-writing adding, you voted in, you yay on, you're all let it be, to let on 'em, or, you yay on 'em, or on them, that type of person. And the Hammer adding you yay on 'em, or let it be on them for. And hoove, Haov, behoove ya. And I'm sure that's where behoove comes from, to be needed, required. And so that's, in hoove, into need, and then evil, IVOL, the evil, to make in all. Evil happens to everybody. And to need the evolics, to live on it, the alcoholic for life, the evil, the evilly come, each, EACH. You can see right here, it's the he, ACH, of the mood owl, of the silent owl, of silent conceal, of mirth they telling of new. The coward adding you yea on 'em, reeve evilly come each, of silence and conceal, of mirth they tell of new. Story is these old lizard people live forever. And when they get old, they immerse their spirit into a new young body. And so you have the merce and the of merce. And people can't understand a lot of the conspiracies. Now, why would somebody do something that wouldn't pay off for 500 years in the future? It's because that's how long these lizard people live. They live forever. And they'll do something today that's going to pay off 500 years later. And so all this, thus says the Lord God, is actually, the coward adding you. The coward adding you high on 'em, reeve, evolix. This is probably where your word evil comes from right here. Reeve, evolix, evol. Olix is what you live for. Olic. If you're an alcoholic, you live for alc. Workaholic, you live for work. And so that's what that means, is the olix, to live for. So the coward adding you high on 'em, reeve, evolix, to make him to live for, ebolix. And each of moot, each of death, owl from, the owl from, of mercies, they tell new. They tell new. And if I throwed anybody off there, I usually read it with upper set of marks. This is just straight through, ignoring all the points, is what this says. The co-word, the cow word, the coward. The coward adding you high on 'em. The reeve, the evol, the evoli come. Each of moot, owl from. Each of dead owl from. Of merce they tell new. They tell of new. The mercies they tell of new. So it could be talking about the possessions. It could be talking about who they mersed in. Who they have become. Thus says the Lord God, because has said, the enemy of Aha in the heights ancient possessions have become are. Yeah, it doesn't look like they tried to interpret that. The enemy of you, Aha, they're trying to say that's a proper name. And it's just, you look at it, it's each, E-H-E, heach, E-A-C-H. And here, of mercies, who receive, who receives. So it's not necessarily a possession, but, who received it, immersed it, put it in the tub with all the rest of the gold. And you see here in Exodus 6:8, they was having a hard time putting definitions on these words, didn't fit. And so here they give the merce, as a heritage, just the M-O-U-R-S-A-E, merces. Merces any of you. Will yoke of when tight at heel commerce any of you. You're all for sale. And that brings me back to where I found this. I was looking at it. It's a heritage again of merce, where I was reading in this Deuteronomy 33. And I believe I've seen some things in the Greek that I wanted to show you in here. I read this a couple movies ago, Was Out of Work. And I was telling you, after reading this, it looked like they were putting together a calendar or a clock or something like the Antikythera mechanism, a computer to keep up with the time and the days and the planets. And I couldn't see it in their translation, but I could see, the codes from his right hand. There's a couple clues in the translation, but you don't get it without reading the original. It's talking about your hands and your feet, where everyone receives your words. The hands and feet of the clock. And then down here at 6, it started with the 12 tribes. I don't know if it was here in the Hebrew or the Greek, but we're going to find it. And it was talking about, to put them all in succession. I don't remember the word they use, but we'll recognize it when we see it. I say all the time and what this word means, and that's a misspoken. None of these words have a meaning. When they're put together, it's just letter groups of combinations with markings that tell different ways of putting these groups of letters together. And so even as a single word, by itself, the Torah, it still has several meanings. But this is the door. This dot in the T beginning makes that a TH, and it's a THO, is to, and that's a THO is the destination when you're sending a letter. And then, then the Vav, the WR, and it's to where, and it means the destination. And the closest you'll find to this word is here in Old German or English, the THURE, the Torah. The Torah means through, coming from the door, the way, the path. And so it's more the destination than the path, come to cross and to see. And so the way it's put together has several meanings, but it's to where. And so this destination is going to be the next word, to where it's ETS, and to where it's we. And you see that in the commandments. It usually comes after assure, and is asserts we, is the command, the law asserts we. But this is just the destination, to where it's we, when of new mos, NUMOS, that's numbers. And to where the destination, it's we, when of numos, when of numbers. And the dot up top tells me grab the dots underneath, and it's the HUE, and the numbers whom, HUEM, who them, the numbers whom, our, OUR, of the hours, A underneath the dot up top says pick up the A, and then the E is ES. And the numbers whom ours is felt the yoke in, when the yoke's on their neck. And so it's talking about the clock there, what house the son's yoked up in, who's pulling the wagon. And it's the destination to where it's we. We're the ones when of numos, when of numbers, whom ours is felt the yoke. And we're going to tell you when you put the yoke on. And so it's saying several things. We're the ones in charge. We're the ones that ring the bell and tell you what time to go to work. And we are designing the skies, the hours of where the sun sits in its yoke. Sesam hours, felt, to felt the yoke, or to feel it, to put your neck in it, to feel it, the yoke of. The dot above tells me to pick up the U, YOKUV, of, the yoke of. And from the hours, you felt the yoke of. And then with the bottom markings, you can see that it changes. It's the affiliate, the affiliate. But yeah, the congregation's coming from fill, from the hours that felt the yoke in. But the yoke in, is also the joke, the JOQUV, the joke of. The yoke of and the joke of. So this possession have become ours. It definitely means to immerse, you're possessed, to immerse the spirit. They tell of new. They done heard the story of how the spirit immerses. You've been possessed by the owls, the ancients of possession, they tell of new. The coward adding you yea onomer. Who've evil, the need evilly come each. Of death, the owl from of immerse, they tellin of new. So when the old king's getting old, they go to the royal barracks and select a child and immerse their spirit off in that child to keep it in the royal family. The son of the man they who inhabit these in. Abraham inherited at the share, backwards, the shares, the arts, the shares, the magic, but the revival of knew not in the hearts of immerse, of possession, but they weren't able to possess the heart. They was able to get the spirit, but not the heart. And the fact that when I Google lizard people these days, Google's trying to hide this, that just, it just adds to the credence, the belief or acceptance of something is true. And it's not a belief, it's the math, Why are they trying to hide it? Everything they're trying to hide, go ahead and assume that's true until you prove it otherwise. They'll put everything stupid in the top results, and that's the easy way to tell when you're searching for something. If everything comes up top, it's stupid. You don't see something that you've heard before, you might have read before. It's a little more credence, they're trying to hide it. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.